Bonjour, mademoiselle and monsieur. Welcome to the Report from Tiger Mountain, French edition, where we talk of the riots that are going on in France at the moment. Stick around, listen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, France has been involved in one of their famous kind of like riots, uprisings, revolution kind of events. France itself has been known for this. Famously during the French Revolution, which kind of essentially changed the modern world, they threw off the monarchy and cut Louis XVI's head off, and then descended into the terror. And then Napoleon took over. Had to bring order. He's like the Trump of the period, mate. He declared himself emperor. I can't wait for Trump to do that. We've still got a few more years to wait for that. But anyway. In France, obviously, there's been a number of revolutions. There's been many in the 19th century. There were communes, and then there was a famous revolution in France in 1968. It was a students' demonstration. It was a left-wing one. And obviously, there's been some in recent times, and there's been many kind of uprisings of late against the globalists and what they're up to. Obviously, in a great disaster, France was taken over by the ex-Rothschild banker, Macron, who basically appeared out of nowhere. I don't know if you remember when Macron appeared. He was not a major figure in French politics. He was basically a nobody, but he was somebody who'd gotten the nod from the Rothschild family to run France. Obviously, France is a key country in the EU. Obviously, Germany is the number one country in the EU, but France is the second. So if France were to, be anti-EU, the whole EU would collapse, because essentially the EU is a kind of an alliance between France and Germany, and then a lot of the other countries go along with that. Obviously, England decided to get the hell out of there with Brexit, in a very smart manoeuvre. But France is key to the success of the EU, so they've got Macron in there. Basically, the media in France just promoted the living hell out of him, got him elected. He's dodgy. He's married to a woman who is, nearly old enough to be his grandmother, ladies and gentlemen. She's about 30 or 40 years older than him, and I think she started dating him when he was a teenage boy. So, I don't know what the hell's going on there, but it's bound to be globalist and bound to be very strange. Macron is there doing his thing. He is a kind of archetypal globalist in the senses that he looks good, he's handsome, he dresses well, he has a sense of style, he wears an $800,000 watch, which interestingly enough, he tried to remove during a press conference when people were complaining, because at the moment they're rioting in France over the raising of the age of retirement. Obviously, we had that debate here in Australia, ladies and gentlemen, where I think the age was raised from 65 to 70. And you know what Australians did, ladies and gentlemen? They did fucking nothing. Nothing. They just raised it. Australians like, yeah, mate, yeah, all right. Probably don't like that, but they didn't do anything. You know why? Because Australians are fucking lazy idiots, ladies and gentlemen. They should have been out there like the French, but we don't have that spirit, ladies and gentlemen. The French, it appears, still do. So they're fighting out there, and they really are giving, I think, the Macron government a run for its money. There's been videos of police joining the rioters. France does have a history of, because essentially that's when a revolution or a mass demonstration succeeds. When the people fighting it, which are the security forces and the police, when they just say, oh, we're not doing this anymore, we're not fighting our own people. Because why are the police fighting our own people? You saw this in Victoria under Afghanistan, with the whole pandemic. What were our police doing, beating up our own citizens? It's obscene. A lot of French security forces and police have joined the demonstration, but there's still enough fighting them to keep this thing going. Macron so far is not giving in, on this thing. But interestingly, they went to BlackRock and they protested out the front of BlackRock, which I'm sure is a giant company owned by this Jewish, the CEO is a Jewish guy by the name of Larry Fink, very appropriate name, I think. They've been buying up half the world's assets. Just look into BlackRock, ladies and gentlemen. They're one of these, giant conglomerates that have been buying up many, assets and media assets and every other kind of asset all over the world that they can buy. They're one of the major companies on earth now. It was interesting the way that the demonstration springboarded into something against them. So, and you could see after that, then they really deployed a second wave of security forces to crush this demonstration. So I think it's very interesting. And I think, France, for whatever reason, has a reputation for fighting, I guess, what you would call the domestic oppression of people, and that's what they are good at. They're not so good at fighting wars, as we saw in World War II. They're big on surrendering there, but, you know, that's another story. We won't go into that. But they are good at fighting, you know, essentially the domestic oppression of people by their own government. And I think the whole world should look to France and take its inspiration from that, because really and essentially when France falls, when the French people do not fight anymore, essentially that means all European peoples are not going to fight anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That essentially means the globalists have won. So I think we should support what's going on in France. I applaud the people of France. I applaud Napoleon. You know, I applaud the Marseillaise, which we should end the show with tonight, the French national anthem, which is the fighting French, ladies and gentlemen, who stand up for, you know, freedom, liberty, and egalitarianism all across the world, ladies and gentlemen. So that's it. The report from Tiger Mountain. We support France, and I'd love to share your thoughts in the comments. So please do. Thank you.